Oxnard. Give it up for Adelaide Moving Latin Road.
We're at this.
All right, I go by the name DJ Honey from 103.3 The Vibe.
We're at the.
Next up, we got the wonderful Carla Perez and the Serena Tribute Band. Are you guys ready for that?
We're Yachtley Crew's playing a Strawberry Festival today, and what's so crazy is I don't know if I had done. I think I did the podcast about when Yachtley Crew was playing that show in Santa Monica. We were playing the show in Santa Monica, and that charity event about a week ago. And in between when we got there and then when we went on stage, we had a few hours, to spend. So we decided to walk around Santa Monica, and we were walking out along Ocean Avenue, I think it was called, and sitting in the window there, on sort of the open window there, was Kato Kalin with some gal. And the guys decided, hey, let's go eat in the same place where Kato Kalin is. And David Bowie took a photo of him and everything. Well, today, the stage we're playing on is the Kato stage. We're playing on the Kato stage. Added to the fact, Philly Ocean happens to have a friend here who's working with something called Autopop, or something like that. She's also big into helping out with entertainment stuff, event plannings. So she happens to be here today. And isn't that nuts? Just like last night, another friend of his was working at the frickin' commissary. Tommy, dude, guess what stage we're playing on?
Inspirado Projecto on the Kato stage,
yes,
baby.
And
the Kato stage.
And why is that significant?
Because we're at the Strawberry Festival.
Kato stage.
Kato Kalin, because we.
Dude,
oh my God!
Dude,
it's all coming together.
Yeah, dude, we can't escape it. You can't escape it. Oh my God, dude. It's so crazy. This stuff happens all the time. It's so funny. I'm always pointing out the synchronicities to these guys, and they'll joke about it, like, ooh, the synchronicities. It's funny. It's like a weird, like, mocking kind of joking about it, like, ooh, synchronicities. But the funny thing is, they're still noticing it. Like, even if they're joking about it and pointing it out in a joking fashion, like, no, I don't normally believe in this. They're still pointing it out, and they're still getting the job done by celebrating it, And usually they'll come up to me and let me know about this stuff too, which is great. Oh man, I will keep you posted as to any other astounding synchronicities and unfolding events that happen. By the way, this podcast, you can subscribe to it on iTunes, so feel free to subscribe on it. You can also find it in a lot of different places, a lot of different apps now. If you go to anchor.fm/Inspirado Projecto, that's the website. That's the app I'm using for this. And on that website, it will show you all the different ways in which you can hear this. So if you're listening to it now, you have a particular thing that you've stumbled upon in which you're hearing this. So also, I just want to remind you, send me your stuff. If you're on Anchor, go ahead, send me a message. I'll integrate it into here. On the last podcast, we heard a guy say thank you. Well, that guy is the language learning nerd. And so I left him another message last night telling him thank you so much for playing the theme song on your show. And so that was a thank you from him. Also, we're hearing some awesome John Garside giblets in there. So keep your ears tuned to that. And more magic to come. We're at the Strawberry Festival today in Oxnard. If you get a chance, come on out here. We're going to be rocking it. There are like 30,000 people up here. It's ridiculous.
Well, this podcast is fiendishly phenomenal.
So Eddie, you've been playing guitar how long?
Off and on for about 27 years now.
And who are some of your big time influences that you think of a lot, maybe while you're creating?
I would have to say Edge, Ace Frehley, Robert Smith from The Cure. He's a true unsung hero as far as the guitar goes.
I know you're also a Depeche Mode fan. Do you ever weave some of that in there, sneak some of that in there?
Absolutely. I've always loved adding the layers of keyboards and the color that keyboards give you. Sometimes you just can't get it from guitar. So yeah, it's definitely.
Oh, so you do add electronic music to your projects?
On occasion, I've been working with Chaz from Yachtley crew, and he's actually been encouraging me to use more electronics in my stuff.
Fantastic. Which is because initially when I started my first band in '89, we had a keyboard player, and then he left after a year or two, and ever since then I never used keyboards again. So now I'm glad to get back to it, because who doesn't love keys? Oh, well, now you, how many songs would you say you've written throughout the years?
Oh, God, I've probably written at least maybe about 65 songs since 89, 90. I don't write a whole lot, but what I do have is generally pretty good. I'm one of those artists that doesn't write fillers. If it doesn't feel right, I just don't write it. And if it takes me fucking 6 minutes or 6 years or 6 months to finish it, then duly noted. That's just, sometimes the process is just like that sometimes. Sometimes you start with something fucking brilliant and then not be able to finish it for whatever reason. Maybe the lack of a bass line or the lack of a keyboard part or what have you. But, eventually it all comes together.
Well, and even those little riffs, those little segments, those little tiny fragments, sometimes they end up, they could be 10 years old, but then they pop up and they become a whole new song in the future. Exactly. Or like, oh my God, now I know where to put that little piece. That's a perfect bridge for this thing.
Exactly. Yeah, because people have told me in the past that some of the stuff I write is somewhat kind of before its time, which is kind of good because sometimes in the music industry, you can write a song today and it won't even be heard for a couple years from now. So whatever's going on now is not necessarily what's really important, And quite frankly, you just got to write from the heart and do what you want to do. And, hopefully the rest of the world will be hip enough to dig what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's not about us as the writers and musicians catching up, it's the rest of the fucking world catching up to us.
And that's awesome that you say that, because I think a big deal is following your heart. And the thing is that I've heard bands out there in the world and I'm like, wait a second, these people have a following? Or I hear another band, I'm like, wait, these people have a following? Well, it just goes to show you that every kind of vibe has a certain other people out there reverberating at that same rate, Yep. So that's the cool thing. Now, with the music that you created back then, are you starting to see elements of that creeping up in today's music? Like the stuff that, like you were saying, you were making music that was sort of ahead of its time.
Right. Well, because, it's funny, Deftones, Godsmack, Tool. I mean, I was listening to Tool when they first came out before anyone even knew how they were. And a lot of the stuff that I was writing back then, I find myself, a couple years later, Godsmack released one of their records, I guess like over 10 years ago, and a lot of it was a drop D tuning, which I use a lot. So I find myself thinking, shit, people are already stealing my ideas. I need to hurry up and get off my ass and get this out there because it's all happening around me regardless. So, yeah, that's a good feeling and a bad feeling, knowing that you're on the right page, but also, too, you always want to, get credit for what you're doing, and sometimes sometimes it just you fall through the cracks, just like like a lot of guys do, but you just got to keep on keeping on.
Well, what's interesting to me is throughout the years I would find myself thinking of a title or a song title or coming up with a little riff or character name or title of a movie and just writing it down, or maybe even talking a little too much about it. Right. And then I end up seeing within a year or two, whatever, I see a movie that's just like that idea I had. Exactly. Or I hear a song. And so I used to get very, very angry about that and going, okay, what's the deal here? What's going on?
Right.
What that taught me was to truly follow my heart, because evidently I'm tuned into some channel that's reverberating with a large populace already, so I might as well follow through with every idea that I got and just follow it, because it's going to eventually come about anyway, right?
Yeah, everything comes full circle eventually. That's the thing. I always hated those fucking players that say, oh, you know, they write with whatever's fucking happening at that moment. You know, sheep, I call them. You know, and it's like, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather just, you know.
Wait, do you mean like watching a trend and going, ooh, people like that, I'm going to do that?
Let's try to write like that. Let's try to, you know, gain some of that. But these people don't know. If you're not part of that wave when it's happening, you've already missed the train, you know, in a lot of those cases. And then in some cases, you find these trends extending because you have these late bloomers coming out, kind of keeping the shit alive when it should have died a while back. You know what I mean?
Man, it's crazy how that happens. It's nuts how that happens. And that's the thing. It's like, that's the other lesson I've learned with this whole creating art is, you know, that old phrase, every dog has his day.
Right.
Now, a lot of cliches, they're just kind of out there in the world until you experience something and you go, oh my God, this is that cliche.
Right.
This is that cliche that I've been hearing so much about. Holy cow, now it really makes sense to you. And you're going, wow. So one of the big ones was every dog has his day. And I realized that, oh my God, I kept seeing more and more stuff filtering up into the big consciousness, like with comic books and comic book movies, for instance. Way back when, you know, oh, they were geeks, everyone made fun of them, computers.
Yeah.
Now it's the norm. Everyone's got a computer now. Everyone's going to the comic conventions.
Exactly. If you have Comic-Con tickets, then you're cool. You know what I mean? And it's like...
It's so interesting how that works. So these things that now seem to be on the outskirts right now that you probably are coming across, that other people are coming across, these things that seem like they're out on the outskirts, no matter what,
they'll be on the front burner
they will be coming right up there.
They'll be on the front burner eventually.
Yeah. So I think it's the idea of sticking around long enough with it to see it, you know, to see it get its victorious day, right?
Right, yeah. Just to watch it, just to have it come to all fruition and just, watch it blossom and, you know, bear some fruit. Like they say. But, you know, that's the beautiful thing about music. You just, you know, I do it because I want to do it. You know, and I started it just because, well, chicks and you know, nothing's cooler than playing guitar. So, you know, I'll never stop. It's funny, people that I haven't seen in like a few years and like, hey man, you still playing guitar? It's like, come on, motherfucker, I'll never stop playing guitar. I got all my ex-bandmates and my current bandmates, they all fucking know. God forbid I leave this fucking planet Earth, my black Les Paul's going with me. That's going to be right there in my coffin. Some of my guys are like, yeah, but we'll be digging your ass up 2 days later to get that fucking $5,000 Les Paul.
Oh my God. You know what you could do? You could burrow a secret hatch in the back of it and put your ashes into it. So the big surprise is on them. They get the guitar and they're like, oh my God, wait, Eddie's ashes are inside. The big surprise would be on them. It's like you pranked them in the afterlife.
Definitely. Definitely, brother. Well, it's time for another cocktail, I believe.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. All right, we will talk to you guys more later.
All righty.
So with this hashtag QAnon stuff, it's interesting to see how many different Qs people find places out there in the world. One of them, here's JFK's grave aerial view. It looks just like a Q. Another photo of some people eating. They have their plates that have their knives perfectly sitting on their plates looking like Qs. Picture of a fire truck in one thing where it has a Q written on the side of it. All these really interesting things. This kind of reminds me of the John Teeter stuff when I was researching it. Still on and off researching. And it was interesting. The John Teeter stuff. He'd write about something, and then you'd see it pop up out there in the culture. It was interesting to see that echo. So it's very interesting to see the QAnon stuff. It's uncanny to see how many things Q talks about. These little clues, which then sends all these people searching, and then finding this crazy information, coming up with this information, and it's almost like everyone is collectively predicting what's going to be popping up in the news. And it is always interesting. As soon as some big some big deal revelation is about to be revealed, and now all of a sudden another shooting happens, or another protest suddenly appears out of nowhere, or someone gets married, someone important gets married, or there's some sporting event that's going on. There's always that thing to keep you on your toes. So it's really intriguing. It makes you feel like you're in a role-playing game. It's very interesting. So I thought it would be interesting to do a photo essay book of all of the cues that people have been finding. Cue, interesting. Take your cue. Take your cue. C-U-E. Cue. Cue, it's interesting. The cue information, it's always like this big thing is going to get revealed. This big thing is going to get revealed. And these things do get revealed. And yet there's always some new documents, some new dossiers, some new files, some new emails, some new thing. I just got to say it's very uncanny how, Q hinted at these things with all this crazy pedophilia, like sex trafficking stuff going on out there. You see this stuff going on in the Catholic Church. All of these people are resigning or getting fired within the White House. It's very interesting. This Allison Mack stuff, it's really interesting. And, it's so funny because on the one hand, I tell people I don't follow the news. Well, I guess in a sense I am following the news, just not through... I am following the news. I'm following it through a hashtag called QAnon on Twitter. So I'm looking at this. It's an interesting thing. Interesting. Very interesting. It's a common phrase, the Matrix. Matrix is a big thing with these memes. There's a lot of memes going on. Really interesting stuff. As the phrase goes, as we talked earlier today, every dog has his day. Well, the day is breaking through to the other side right now. The dog is having their day right now. It's breaking through, and that dog is conspiracy theories. They're having their day right now. Unstoppable force. The internet enabled so much information to get out there. Which then, as soon as an official, as soon as an authoritative voice makes its way onto your favorite news channel and says, no, don't pay attention to this, or oh, that's not right, or blah, 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 blah. Like I just heard that these people are handing over their cell phones to be looked at. Well, if you knew that you had bad stuff on there, wouldn't you just accidentally drop it in the ocean? Oops, that phone accidentally glitched out when I plugged it into the wall. Sorry, Judge, I can't bring it in and show you my secret files. I can't do that. I cannot do that. Drop that in the toilet. Stop fighting. So, it's just fascinating. Yeah, I'd like to see a photo essay book. Perhaps of all these crazy memes, how neat would that be? A photo essay book for free. QAnon photo essay book. Check it out. Check it out. Also, check out there's a documentary called The Industry. The Institution. The Institute. The Institute. The Institute? Yeah, there it is. Whoa, came out in 2000. What? Oh, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. What? What? The Institute. It's not the Institute. Wait. The Institute. 2013. The Institute. Yeah. There it is. The Jejune Institute. Yeah. The Jejune Institute. I met a guy who went deep into the Jejune Institute. Jejune. Jejune Institute. Jejune Institute. It's an alternate reality game. ARG. Wow. So interesting. Wow. It just kept going. So, yeah, the Institute, it's an alternate reality game. It's something that's invented. It's kind of like taking someone through a role-playing game, and they go through and they experience these interesting things. Emails, websites. It's fun for anyone who loves mystery. Anyone who is a Sherlock Holmesian, someone who likes detective novels. I can imagine someone who plays chess and, appreciating something like this. Someone who definitely loves putting together jigsaw puzzles, this is that kind of thing for them. Rather than having the jigsaw puzzle on a table, you're in the jigsaw puzzle. You're in it. That's what was so crazy about Puzzlementary Productions. Look that up. Puzzlementary Productions. Cross between a documentary and a puzzle. Puzzlementary. That was involved with the AndyKaufmanLives.com stuff. Oh man, that stuff just fascinates me. I've been so inspired by that stuff. So this Jejune Institute, there's a documentary called the Institute. It's interesting. It involved people in this thing, and yeah, check it out. So that's what it feels like with this hashtag QAnon stuff. Heck, you could even just look up hashtag Q, and something extraordinary is going to come up. So, that's all for now. And now a word from our sponsor.
I kind of didn't know what to think. I at first thought, okay, someone's making these crazy advertisements for something that's almost too impossible to even exist. And they seem to be urging me to visit this physical place.
You now sit in a satellite induction office of the Jejune Institute, located in the deep forests of San Francisco.
I lived in San Francisco for 11 years and had to leave because of gang stalking activities and being surveillanced and monitored and all the frequency manipulation. And it's a really serious thing to have done to somebody.
I saw a way to play that was entirely new, and them treating it like a game offended me.
And at that moment, it really didn't feel like a game anymore. It was genuinely scary, yeah.
There was moments where, the ordinary world was transformed into something different, something full of potential and full of mystery.
And everything outside seems better. Like the colors are brighter or the world looks like a different place. And I wanted to keep feeling that way.
You may suddenly begin to notice small things around you you had never before noticed, until your entire universe is transformed forever.
This is the sound of the cat purring like a race car. This is the sound of the cat purring like a race car. This is the sound of the cat purring like a race car.
Howdy, y'all. I'm the Meat Maven, and I'm here to tell you about all the great deals we have at the Meat Clown store. For the little ones, don't forget the meat nuggets. Give me the nugget. Boy. Youngins love them. 50 cents a nugget. Oh, my. I can feed all my youngins with that. Everyday low prices. Just like summertime, nothing says summer like a barbecue. A good old pig picking. For your rib, just give it a good rub. Yeah, boy. $6.79. That's crazy talk, Meat Clown. We have bags of cracked luncheons, just like Meemaw used to make them. $1.99 for a bag. That's a deal down at Meat Clown store. Fly on down to our Louisiana outlet. This nugget here, that is some good stuff.
Well, this podcast is well beyond reach of reason.